consulting and contract work for us. I don't have a board president's message. Jared, do we have some public comment tonight? Okay. Eric Barker, looks like you're up first. If you would, please use a microphone so that the people online can hear you. And I also want to remind everybody that we do have a 3-minute time limit on public comment, and Jared will be timing you.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, thanks for letting me speak tonight. I'm here to urge the school board and the school district to require masks to be worn in school buildings this fall. So as we all know, in-person classroom instruction is one of the best things that we can do for our school kids to keep them in school. Kids learn the best when they're in person, and a lot of people in the district don't have the luxury of being able to afford childcare during the fall, whenever it's not summertime. And we know that one of the best ways to keep our schools open and keep our students safe is to require masks to be worn in the classroom. So we've seen over the past number of months that it's one of the most effective and cost-effective ways to stop the spread of the virus. There's a few things that have changed in the last few weeks since the health and safety plan was approved. Number one, the rates of COVID-19 transmission have increased in Indiana County and many other parts of the nation as well. Indiana County has increased from a substantial rate of transmission to a high level of transmission. The CDC just came out with that today, which is the highest level of its different grades of transmission. The CDC recommends that K through 12 schools require masks in indoor settings. Also, something that's changed in the last few weeks is that IUP is now requiring masks, as is the other 14 schools in the state system of higher education. The evidence is pretty clear in terms of experts in the scientific community that masks work. The American Academy of Pediatrics now recommends strongly that masks be worn and mandated to be worn with limited exception in school buildings. Indiana Area School District did a remarkably good job last year keeping our schools open for the most part by taking precautions such as social distancing and mask wearing. And we want to make sure that all of our kids are safe and our schools remain open. I have a 9-year-old at home that is too young to get vaccinated. I'm concerned for her well-being and other students' well-being in the school district. 0% of elementary school kids are vaccinated. So it doesn't make any sense to send the kids into harm's way unnecessarily when we know that wearing masks is effective and works. There's only upsides to this, and there's really little to no cost. So I like to urge the Indiana Area School Board and the district to do the right thing and require masks to be worn in the school buildings this fall. Thank you very much.
Okay, Eric, thank you. Hillary, I think it's your turn.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. And I really just want to amplify what Mr. Barker shared, and that is to encourage the district to please move towards a mandatory mask for all the folks in school buildings this fall. Being an elected official is a hard job, and I want to thank you all for your dedication and your willingness to serve. And I know it was incredibly difficult to come up with your health and safety plan, and how effective it was last year is amazing. And that's thanks to the hard work of all of you and your wonderful dedicated employees, your teachers, your administrators, and the parents and kids that really pulled together last year. And I think your masking policy was sort of the cornerstone of your success. And so we all want to see the kids safe and in the classroom. I think the best way to get there is masking. It costs you almost nothing to do it. All the experts are recommending it. I'm hard pressed to think of a reason why not to do it. It seems to be the most effective way to make sure that we can achieve our objective of keeping the kids in school, learning with their teachers face to face, interacting with their friends. As elected officials, you're here to look after not just the intellectual development of our kids, but also their social, emotional development and their health and safety. And this seems like a really straightforward way to help ensure the safety of those kids that are coming to school. So please, implement a mask mandate. Thanks so much.
Okay, Hillary, thank you. Dennis Faulkner.
So my name is Dennis Faulkner. Been a resident here. I'm an active duty military member. I run the ROTC program at ROTC out at IUP, and I'm just going to be on the other side of this issue. We have evidence right here. There is a cost to what we're doing, and you might disagree that it's the masking that are causing us to have an increase of mental health issues. I would disagree. From someone that's been running a program and been fighting against silly rules that don't really help and are just ignoring and are obfuscating the real risks. I understand very well what it is to be in harm's way, to defend my country, and to be in actual risk. And while there is risk to certain individuals, to our young people, the experts actually completely disagree that there is any real risk to our children. We know this. That's fact. We can look at other countries, and it's very frustrating when I can see the very tangible impacts to my daughters, who are both in high school and who are just about ready to give up on doing a lot of things because they don't have the freedom to do it the way that they're choosing to. And the people who are forcing these issues like mask mandates aren't bothering to compel, aren't bothering to convince anyone anymore of the efficacy. Just like the FDA approving a vaccine today, that at the same time a story comes out and says it's got a 39% effectiveness, and we know that that shouldn't be happening. This does not instill confidence from people. That's where people are at. And so what I would say to the board is, do not try and reinstill a mandate, because on the other part of this is I don't understand the authority that you would have to be able to do it. And you've had the luxury of people complying, willingly complying and taking part because we do believe in this community. But these actions are starting to have very real effects, and it's enough. It's enough. I'm here for my children. I am the one who am responsible to make sure they're taken care of. I've done a very good job of that with my wife, and we will continue to do so. For others, do what you believe is best, but I believe we need to quit acting like we can figure out what is best for others in many of these issues. If you're going to try to convince folks, I would ask you to quit talking about with the CDC and other places that we all know very clearly there are other influences on that. And even on this board, there are monetary issues that we keep talking about that are driving these decisions. I don't care about the money. I care about the best outcomes for our children, and I believe that that's what this board should mostly be concerned about. And I get it. Money is a concern, but I am begging you, because I'm telling you, I'm the type of individual that usually have a lot of faith and appreciate the folks like you are here doing a job like this that is quite thankless. I do a few of those out at the university myself, so I get it. But this issue, we got to move past it. We really do. And I think that anyone that is committed to making others have to do something at this point, I think is foolhardy.
Dennis, thank you for your comments. Time is up. Joe Ferrero, you're up next.
As a fellow veteran, we're a lot on the same page. And I wanted to make sure that I came and spoke tonight as a follow-up to the last time that I spoke, because I had two side encounters with board members, and both of them made me recognize that I must not have been clear. I don't know if you remember the last time I was speaking immediately following the solicitor. Right after we kind of boiled it down to the only reason to mask them on the bus was for money. There was no health anything raised. Yet both of the conversations I had with board members after that, and I never once brought up not masking them. I'm not going to fight you guys on this. I don't see you as a health board. I don't know why you're making health decisions. This is an education board. So if we're going to institutionalize confusion, where we're going to mask them on the bus, then let them walk in and take their mask off. If you think these children automatically compute that, maybe some do, especially if they have a parent like me at home, but I'm sure there's a lot that don't. So I did get a comment that maybe that's the parents' job to educate that. So is that literally the stance of the school board, that it's the parents' job to teach critical thinking? Don't these children deserve to know if they have to mask just on the bus and walk through the door, that they should be told exactly why? If you just tell them about money, they'll get it. You guys, you deal with them, right? Like, they'll get it. This isn't hard. So I did want to just verify that we're clear now. I'm not saying anything about masks, because I'm sure once the mandate happens, because we know we're all waiting for it to come from above, whether it's the Department of Education, Department of Health, the governor, the president, perceived president, whoever, we know that's what we're waiting on. So we know that's what is going to happen. I'm not living under an illusion. I know you guys aren't either. So can we at least take a step to start to educate these kids on the mental health, that we have an educator here that's seeing it at other levels? Or are we just going to brush over this? Are we going to ignore it? And here's what I want to finish with, and I'm trying to be tactful. When I first showed up, it was just to fight what I perceived, my opinion, of the nonsense of masking. After those two sidebar conversations, especially the one that happened outside, really makes me think there's something else I need to be showing up to keep my eye peeled for, because it was unbecoming of the stature of the board. And like I said, I'm going to try to remain tactful with that.
Thank you, Joe. Betsy Summers? Sorniso, I apologize.
Hi, everyone. I'm here. I would like to thank you for the service you provide to the school district and our community. Our students are really very lucky to have you. I just want to provide some stats. I would like to urge you to mask our students this fall. We had 8 cases in the county yesterday, bringing our total to 241. That is 62 cases past last August 2020, and we are set to outpace the 310 cases that we had last September. Our 5-day positivity rate is 34.9%. That's why we are now the highest level of transmission. And I know that at least 15 beds at IRMC, including that entire 7th floor, now have COVID. Indiana County's transmission level is high. It's the highest ranking. We know that masking is the most effective mitigation method. It worked for the district last year. My child at Ben Franklin had a successful school year in the classroom. My 8-year-old isn't vaccinated, much like any child under 12. I'd like to echo what Hillary and Eric said. Please, enough is enough. Put the children's safety first. Thank you.
Okay, Betsy, thank you. We have Amanda Poole online. Amanda, can you go ahead with your comments, please?
Thank you.
Again, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay. Thank you so much for letting me speak, and for all the hard work you're doing, and for your service to the schools and community. I'm a concerned parent of 2 kids in the school district here, one of whom is too young to be vaccinated. I'm also a social scientist and anthropologist. Like others, I would love to move past COVID. I really would, but we're not done with it yet. And the way to do that is to increase vaccination rates and slow the spread through common sense measures like masking. I'm here to implore you to follow peer-reviewed science, to listen to the CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the PSEA, and innumerable experts, all of whom recommend masking as part of a layered mitigation strategy to slow the spread of COVID through schools. Cases are on the rise with the Delta strain. It's far more contagious than what we encountered last year. More children are getting sick, some of them seriously so. I implore you to look at other school districts in the US who started in the last few weeks without mask mandates. They're facing large-scale outbreaks. And I worry about how many kids here have to get sick facing long-term health complications and potentially deadly multi-inflammatory syndrome before we act to follow best practices to protect our kids. The vaccination rates in Indiana County are alarmingly low. At the same time, we have brought thousands of university students back to the town, and we are currently categorized as a high-risk county for transmission. We need to do everything possible to protect our children's welfare. Masking is part of a strategy that ensures schools continue in person, which we know is so important for our kids' well-being. Masks are not just a personal choice. They don't work by protecting individual people wearing them. They protect the people around us. No matter how well my daughter's mask fits, it won't be effective if she's in sustained contact with people who are contagious and unmasked, shedding virus into the air, which can happen even before people know they're sick. Masking is also a way that my kids learned that they can take care of others around them as an act of responsibility and compassion. And frankly, my kids will feel unsafe in the classroom surrounded by unmasked people, which will impact their mental health and their education this year. Online education is not an equivalent to face-to-face schooling. And as working parents, it isn't even feasible. Our right to a safe and equitable education for our children is being compromised if we don't take these common sense, well-proven safety methods to mitigate the spread of a pandemic in our schools. Please act now before kids get sick, not after. I urge you to develop a safety plan that takes into account data from IRMC, from local water monitoring, starting the semester off cautiously and then backing off restrictions when we know from the data that case counts are under control in Indiana. I know you care about our
Amanda.
kids. Yeah.
You've reached your 3-minute limit.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your comments as well. Okay, that concludes the public comment portion. Item 1.7, Superintendent's Report. Mike, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to make the public aware on our website right now, we have a survey regarding grade composition for those who want to go online and complete that. That's available for those families to do so. Once we have the data, SSI Strategy Solutions will look at the data, compile the data, and present a report to us. Additionally, we're going to release some information tomorrow regarding back to school nights, as well as a summary of our meeting with our local advisory board that was conducted today to give parents some insight on our back to school opening plans. And lastly, sir, today was the first day with teachers. It was a great first day. We're looking forward to tomorrow and continue the professional development that's going on, sir.
Okay, really good. Our solicitor is not with us this evening. There are no presentations. I believe that takes us down to the minutes, approval of the minutes and the agenda. May I have a motion? Okay, moved in second. Question, comments, or discussion on the agenda or the minutes? Nothing heard. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Uta, what's going on up at ICTC?
I do not have a report. We meet tomorrow, so I'll have a report next meeting.
Very good. Mike, do you know Barb's not here on the air, and is anything? Is Barb on the call? Because I thought she was only going to be here for the executive session. Okay, Barb's not here this evening. Mike, was there anything happening at IU-28 that you're aware of?
No, sir. Continue to work with the new director, and as we go through this upcoming school year, looking forward to continue to build a solid and strong relationship.
Okay, thanks, Mike. All right, Tom, Extracurricular and Academic Committee.
Okay, no report. Moving on. Is there any objection to these being not approved? We're good. Including 5.7, which is the addendum for the contract for behavioral. Okay, we're good. I move that the board approves 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, and 5.7.
Second.
Okay, just one quick pause. Was 5.7 out in time for public comment? Okay, is there any public comment on 5.7? Okay, nothing seen. Well, no. It's comment about the motion, the contract for hiring a behavior specialist. Okay, if you have comment on that, Joe, you can give us comment on that specific item, but nothing else.
So contract for, is this the first time this has come out like this? Do we have anything else? Like, can you tell us anything, or are we just supposed to look at this and know we're hiring mental health workers, or is this to help with the mask mental health or anything like that? Or was this slated stuff? Just a simple 2-second background would be great.
I think that'll get covered. Okay. So we have 5.2 through 5.7 on the table to be voted on. Questions, comments, or discussion from the board? Okay. Tom, go ahead.
Sure, I'd be glad to. It serves two purposes. Number one, we have a shortage of paraprofessionals. This will help give support and needs to the students in those classrooms. And secondly, it also provides behavior intervention supports those kids who are needing. So this contract does two big things: provides ongoing mental support and social emotional learning support our kids need, as well as fills the needs for the vacancies we have for some of the classrooms that exist with students with different needs and disabilities. Sir.
Okay. Further questions, comments, or discussion from the board?
It would be on here whether COVID's here or not. Right?
Agreed.
Unrelated.
Agreed. That's agreed.
Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
This contract is intended to fill, to provide us flexibility to fill unfilled positions as they come up.
Yeah, my only comment will be that even the school district, like every other business and organization right now, is having trouble finding sufficient employees to meet their needs. And this is a way to sort of swing that wider loop to get the people on staff that we need to do our job with. Okay, any other questions from the board? 5.4, go ahead, Tom.
What we're going to do is look at the performing arts in particular. Right now, we know we have a strong arts program. We don't want to go down that road, but really what I want to focus on is our performing arts and area of music and theater. And that's where I'd like to really have that direction go. And that's enumerated based in the proposal itself. We think we have a great arts program. We think we can strengthen it. And we think there may be some holes existing K-12, but more importantly at the elementary school. So this audit is really designed to look at our performing arts in particular and see what we could do as a district to strengthen it and make it.
And also throughout the district.
Absolutely. It's a K-12 audit. Yep. Absolutely, sir.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see some of the question. This is also an example of our partnership with the university.
Absolutely. Dr. Jones is amazing. I think he'll do a good job helping us really thinking about how we can strengthen the performing arts. And we're going to give him time to do that. And they'll be able to report out, and I can bring that to an academic and extracurricular meeting, sir.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, motions carry. Uta, looks like you're up next.
I don't have a committee report because I wasn't at the last committee meeting. We reported last time what we did. Yep. So I think we are ready to go to our motions, and can we do 6.2 to 6.6? Because we need to fill the blanks on 6.7 and 6.8.
Yep.
Actually, let's do 6.2 to 6.11, but pulling out 6.7 and 6.8. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
We have to pull out 6.9 since I need to abstain.
Sure. We'll do 6.2 through 6.6, and then 6.10 and 6.11. That's the motion I need.
Okay, it's moved in second. Questions, comments, or discussion on 6.2 through 6.6 and 6.10 and 11. Mike, is there anything you need to comment or explain on any of those motions?
No, so there's standard operating procedures, employee handbook we have every year. We'd just like to approve it before the start of school. That's available for staff to review and read thoroughly and sign off that they read that. The extra duty, extra pay assignments are part of our standard operating businesses, and the computer media instructors are important because that's going to help us provide instruction for those kids who choose Ideal Plus and or those kids who may be quarantined.
Okay.
Thank you to those people that are resigning and for their service.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or discussion on the board? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion's carried. Okay.
All right, 6.7, employment of professional personnel. Based on the recommendation of administration, Heather Miller, Miller, be employed as an elementary teacher effective August 23rd, 2021, in accordance with their certification at an annual salary of $72,675, step 2 bachelor's, pending receipt of updated clearances and clear Act 168 forms.
Okay, moved and seconded. Mike, any comments on the administration on this?
No, one thing we'll say to that, sir, we had a lot of great candidates. The administration whittled down to people, 3 candidates that we brought forward to the board's consideration, and Heather Miller stood out to us. We think she's a great addition to our team. Last year, when we need someone as a long-term substitute in the area where we had the temporary classrooms, she filled that role admirably, and we think she's a good addition to the district, sir.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments from the board? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
6.8, long-term substitute assignment. That based on the recommendation of administration, the board employs Lindsay Updegraff, Uptegraph, as a long-term substitute elementary teacher at East Pike Elementary School, beginning August 23rd, 2021, and continuing until November 23rd, 2021, at a per diem rate of $250.41. Instructional 1, step 1 be approved.
Okay, moved in second. Questions, comments, discussion from the board? Mike, anything?
Thank you, Mr. President. Lindsay is another one of the candidates we are quite impressed with her credentials. She student taught at Ben Franklin. We think she'd be an amazing addition to the team, so we're lucky to really have her, and we welcome her with open arms as well, sir.
Okay, if you're looking for the specifics on it, what's that? Uta.
NDSEY, and the last name is Updegraff, Uptegraph. G as in
Giraffe.
Golf.
correct.
Okay. Questions, comments, additions from the board? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 6.9.
6.9, employment of support staff. That based on the recommendation of administration, Brittany Elliott, Yvonne Brannon, and Rebecca Wallace be employed as paraeducators effective August 23rd, 2021, at an hourly rate of $12 per hour, subject to a 90-day probation period, and receipt of updated clearances and Act 168 forms be approved.
Mike, anything you'd like to add in here?
We welcome them aboard. As we discussed earlier, paraprofessionals hard to find. I think Mr. Zahorchak, Mr. Heinrich did an amazing job finding qualified candidates for the positions, and we're really fortunate to have them on board, sir, and we welcome them.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments, discussion on the board? Cinda, I think you want to abstain from voting on this. Is that correct? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed? And Cinda is abstaining. Okay, motion carries. All right, I believe we're down to buildings and grounds. Terry, it's your turn.
I had a building grounds meeting on August 16th. The first topic, the East Pike roof, we pushed till the September meeting. We had heard a short update from Mr. Woodring on the playground equipment
equipment will be installed at Ben Franklin and East Pike, and they're going to continue to work through the playground. Storage of Eisenhower material due to the fire. We discussed what we should do with that. The committee discussed options for storing Eisenhower items over the next year or two, with those options including local company buildings or continuing to have them stored through the insurance company at district cost. The committee is recommending that everything be brought back to Eisenhower for now, and we'll deal with moving it around when necessary in the future. And we had a short discussion on the building air clean, the bipolarization, and we had discussed this previously. The committee was in agreement that there is no support to move forward with any bipolar ionization systems. We feel that there's adequate filtration and airflow in the educational spaces of the district buildings. And we talked about the pads at the stadium. Mr. Woodring informed the committee that half of the pads for the high school stadium are scheduled to be delivered early next week, which would have been this week, I think. He will be monitoring the situation, ensure that there's appropriate padding for the first football game. And we had a lengthier discussion on the building reconfiguration. Committee and other board members in attendance discussed the options presented for grade reconfiguration. Public was also given the opportunity to add to and discuss. Board members present then voted on the 10 options using previously agreed upon criteria in an effort to narrow the options down to 3 or 4, which will then be further discussed in more detail for a vote on a final option at a future meeting. The final 4 options will be further vetted are the following. Option 1, which was the current configuration. Option 2, which is pre-K to 5 and 3 buildings. Junior high would be 6th to 8th grade. Senior high would stay the same, 9 to 12, and close 1 elementary building. Option 3 is the current configuration. Pre-K to 3, 2 buildings, 4 and 5 and 2 buildings. Junior high and senior high would be the same as they were. Option 4 is pre-K to 4th and 3 buildings. Junior high would become 5th to 8th. Senior high would stay 9th to 12th, close an elementary school. I'll go back to what option 1. Option 1 was pre-K to 3rd in 2 buildings, 4 and 5 in 1 building. Junior high is 6th to 8th. Senior high is 9th to 12th, close 1 elementary. That was it for the meeting.
Okay, you have a couple motions, I think.
Yes. 7.2, can we take them together? 7.2, 7.3, any?
Yep.
Objection? Okay. And I'd like to move 7.2 and 7.3 forward.
Excellent.
Okay.
7.2 is pot real estate management agreement, and 7.3 is bus drivers and equipment.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on 7.2, 7.3. Questions, comments, or discussion on those 2 items? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion's carried. Julia, looks like you're up now.
The committee, audit finance committee meeting did meet tonight. We had a pretty good meeting. We had a full agenda. We got through it. First thing we discussed was we have an opportunity to refinance the 2016 bond, which is that Ben Franklin bond, the first tranche of it, and the rest of it we never borrowed. So we have to let Jamie, our broker, know. When did we decide? September meeting.
September 13th.
Yeah, the September 13th meeting, whether or not we want to take advantage of that refinancing. We looked at various options, but the basic refinancing package that she offered was about a $500,000 savings. And the amortization schedule would essentially stay the same though. Ben Ford came in from the Borough Council and talked about the LERTA program. He gave us answers to some of our questions, which is a real estate incentive program in the borough to improve properties. It does involve tax abatement, but it would not see any changes in our tax rules. So we have some time to think about that, but we got a basic report. We did talk about the Pennsylvania Municipal Service Company and the outstanding debt that they're claiming that they have against some of our taxpayers going way back. So we've decided to try to craft a policy. Jared's going to talk to some people and see if we can come up with a fair policy. Some of us are inclined to forgive all the debts. Some are, there's no objections not to, and most of us are somewhere in the middle. Pick a year and do some sort of a rolling policy. I think that's about what we said, right, Jared? Yeah. So that's stay tuned. There's a motion tonight on the new convection oven for Ben Franklin for about $10,000. And as we know, the food service budget's been doing pretty well, so we wouldn't have any trouble affording that. And that Ben Franklin needs it, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We will be paid for out of the food service budget, which has a positive balance right now.
What, 30,000?
$30,000 loss from last year, but this year, if everything goes well, it should have about a $50,000, hopefully to the good. We're still finishing those numbers for 2021, but in the past couple of years, it has had upwards of $100,000. So.
This is prudent, but we need this. So the committee supports it. I'm going to save the biggest item to last year, but we basically decided we're going to talk about the East Pike roof replacement funding. Maybe the next meeting we'll keep it on the agenda. It's important. We have to get to it because it's necessary to get this done. We sort of discussed in a cursory way the elementary grade this new configuration of the elementary grades of the 4 options. I don't think the committee, and I think we all agree, Cinda and Terry agree that we probably won't have a big role to play in it until Mike and Jared and your team figure out what the numbers may look like with these loosely configured 4 options. We might end up with a hybrid after we see the numbers, a hybrid option. It's hard to say. Food supply and costs, we're looking at, Jared, tell us briefly about what the concern is and what we're going to do here.
Yeah, we've just been receiving notices over the past couple of weeks from PD, the Department of Food and Nutrition, about the possibility of some food shortages coming up, just having trouble getting certain products in that we're required to feed with the certain nutritional levels, sodium levels, all that, as well as increased cost, as we are seeing that across all types of product lines. So they just really wanted us to, talk to the school board, make sure the school board was aware that this could possibly affect the bottom line of the food service program, and to be ready to make adjustments on, could be a daily basis on possible what we're serving in the cafeteria. We come up with basically a monthly menu, but that may need to be adjusted as we go through if we cannot get certain products in for the menu itself. So. No, so far so good.
And then finally, the best news, it's good news in this rather trying time, is that we're looking at about a $1.3 million surplus a year, and we're not firm on those numbers, but it's looking pretty good. It's going to be tweaked a little bit. Jared, I'd like you to talk about that just a little bit, and also tell us about this business of the bond payment, how you want to work that.
Yeah, right now, and just like you said, Madam Vice President, the numbers are not finalized as we're still working through the audit and finalizing both expenses and revenues. But right now we're projecting about a $1.3 million surplus from last year, which is certainly a lot better than what we had projected going into COVID. So we're very happy with that. One of the things that when we were putting that budget together in May and June of 2020 was the board took a vote to take the bond payment for the 2016 bonds out of the bond proceeds themselves, which we had remaining. It was discussed then, and the full intention was that if we did have a surplus, that we would adjust that bond payment back into the general fund, where typically on a normal year is paid. So now that we are projecting the surplus, that the committee talked about putting a motion on the next agenda, the September 13th agenda, to do just that, is to make an adjustment on the books to move that about $325,000 bond payment from the bond proceeds back to the general fund, which would leave that money then to be with the remaining bond proceeds to be used on future capital projects. The remainder then of the projected surplus can then be discussed further once we get the final numbers in, with what the board would like to do that with that surplus. In the previous year, we did a transfer to capital reserve with the surplus for projects across the district that need done. One of those could be the East Pike roof as we're working through that. So
Yeah, that's what I think. Right now, it's a top priority. So we're looking at possibly, if we do this in September, $1 million surplus.
we could upwards of $1 million. So we can have those discussions in September when we have better numbers as to where we're going to finish the 2021 school year.
I don't know. I don't know how all these motions are going to stick, because we don't have a meeting until the end of next month. So we'll sit down and figure that out. So stay tuned. But that's pretty much what the committee talked about. So it's a good meeting. I think we're making great progress on all of our priorities. I really do. And we appreciate the help of the administration and the leadership. Thank you.
You have a couple of motions then, Jewel.
8.2 for the new oven. The board authorizes the administration to purchase a new convection oven for Ben Franklin Elementary School for the estimated amount of $9,779.60, with funding coming from the food service program. And then 8.3, that the proposal from, I'm taking them together, that the proposal from Colquitt Law Firm for professional services to review the insurance settlement from the East Pike Elementary fire be approved as presented. Yeah, really. Sorry. Strike that.
Okay, moved in second. Questions, comments, discussion on the board on those two items. Okay, nothing heard. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion's carried. We're down to closing items. There are no discussion items tonight. Public comment on agenda items. Please restrict your comments to the items that we discussed on tonight's agenda. Okay, nothing hurt.
I just would like to point out that we recognize we spent $170,000 on mental health professionals to have nothing to do with helping the kids that might be dealing with COVID stuff.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Tammy Blank, you've been awful quiet. I wanted to make sure you were still awake there, because I didn't hear any yays or nays, so I just wanted to check in with you.
Oh, no, I'm very good with the way the board has decided everything tonight. I'm just lurking at the moment.
Okay, thanks, Tammy. We did have some enclosures. We did have an executive session held on Monday, August the 16th, after the committee meeting to discuss safety issues. There was an executive session held prior to the meeting. To this meeting was to discuss contract issues and employees. Our next board meeting will be September 13th at 7 p.m. Our next committee meetings are academic and extracurricular next Monday at 5:30, and policy personnel also on the 13th at 5:30. May I have a motion to adjourn? Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? We stand adjourned.
No, you're fine.
Too stupid.